I don't know about you, but I felt like today I woke up in a dictatorship, to be perfectly honest with you. It was a really rough ride, where our Prime Minister effortlessly created a nation where mandatory vaccinations exist now, where you have to show your papers if you want to go to the pub, where there's a never-ending cycle of lockdown that's looming all over us all of the time. Even if it does go to a vote in Parliament, which it might not, by the way, so there's that, isn't there? It'll get through, and it'll get through because I think someone needs to hire a giant big X-ray machine, right, and stick Michael Gove in it, stick the likes of you Jacob Rees-Moggs in it, and just check if they've got a spine, right? Because I don't think they have, this lot. They clearly don't. They've sold their principles down the river, haven't they? They don't believe in this. They don't even want to stick to the rules. Michael Gove was part of this mysterious pilot scheme, wasn't he? Boris Johnson was going to be part of this pilot scheme. They all were, and they all would if they could. They've been got at by Boris. They're well and truly in the fold, aren't they now, this lot? So the would-be rebels, pretty much, are all working for him, working very, very closely with him. So they almost can't rebel. Surely this goes against everything they stand for, or at least what they stood for before they got a whiff of power. And well, now it doesn't look like they stand for anything, does it? They're traitors, in my opinion, to their own principles. And that's what I'm saying. They're traitors not just to us, I suppose, as the voter. They're not just traitors, I suppose, to their own party. But that's really important. They're traitors to their own principles. They don't want to isolate. They don't want to stick to the rules. They don't want any of this for themselves, yet they do it to us anyway. And I've got a massive issue with that. The NHS is not going to be overwhelmed, but I certainly am. Definitely overwhelmed by all of this. How can it be the case in the Western world where we have a situation where you will not be allowed to go about your daily business unless you have a vaccine for something that killed just 19 people yesterday? Any death is a tragedy. Do not get me wrong. That's 19 families one would suspect that now, are facing up to life without a loved one. Please don't misunderstand me here. That's terrible. But to actually sacrifice pretty much every single person's civil liberties for that, I'm not sure that's right. And does this happen every year? Is this what happens every year? No, every year we have to have the coronavirus jab, do we? So every single year you have to go and get a little top up of the Pfizer or whatever. More shots, please. Yeah, all right, fine, whatever. Look, we're going to be discussing all of this very shortly with Donald McLeod, who's a nightclub owner, but we're also going to be talking to Jake Herfhurt about this, who's head of research and investigations at Big Brother Watch, because frankly, I'm not sure a lot of this stuff is kosher. There was a lot of things that Boris Johnson announced yesterday, of course, that did to me to seem to break the social contract, really, between a government and its citizens. But in other news, NHS staff in England are due to be offered a 3% pay rise, which their unions are set to reject as well. I tell you what, if they do get that 3% pay rise, they better pull their flipping fingers out, hadn't they? Because 13 million people on an NHS waiting list at the moment, or it's set to be anyway. I think the government should say take it or leave it. GPs had to be convinced to go and see patients face to face. They were misdiagnosing people through the medium of FaceTime, right? This isn't an NHS that's fit for purpose, is it? I really can't believe that. I can't imagine there'd be huge public support if the NHS staff decided to go on strike as well, because then they'd be the ones letting the bodies pile high, wouldn't they? Not Boris Johnson. So I can't imagine there'd be huge support for that. What are your views on all of this? 0344 499 1000 is that number. Text talk in your message to 87222 or tweet us at Talk Radio. Also, there are 1 million children currently off school with COVID-related reasons. 1 million. 47,000 tested positive for the virus. So for every single child that's got COVID-19, by my maths isn't great to be fair, that means that about 21 are off, which can't be good because that's a whole class, isn't it? An entire class. This is a way of making vaccines for children more palatable. Don't misunderstand what's happening now. This is what is happening, right? Because if the parents are there and little Timmy is there all the flipping time, right? All of a sudden you go, should we get him jabbed? Yeah. Tim, come over here, mate. Get your jab. Go back to school. See you never. All right, see you in the holidays. That's enough for me. That's what I think is happening here. And from one record to another, because that's a record amount of children that are off, by the way, from one record to another, it was a record day in the Channel, wasn't it? 430 migrants crossed the Channel in one day. I reckon some of them might have just been British holidaymakers desperately trying to get back from France. I think that's the way around it these days, isn't it? That's the way around the rules. So there we have it, people, really, in a nutshell, which is that the government is rotten to its core, our health system isn't functioning, our education system's knackered, our borders are open wider than a yawning hippo's jaw. All in all, Britain's in a bit of trouble, isn't it? I want to hear from you, though. 0344 499 1000, text talk, and your message to 87222. Tweet us at Talk Radio. When we come back, we're talking about mandatory vaccines with a big double header. Donald McLeod, owner of the Garage nightclub in Glasgow, sounds good. And also we're going to be talking to Big Brother Watch about whether or not actually any of these laws or these rules or these regs are, to be honest with you, really kosher. Patrick Christys, Talk Radio.